Good afternoon. It's the Wall Street Weekly Wrap-Up, November 18th, 2003, and I'm your host, John Newquist. Again, some interesting earnings, more interesting events that I watched. Let's take a look at it. For many, the Russell 2000 is a boring index, a lot of small caps, and hasn't done much. And if you can look at November, instead of doing well, it actually collapsed, once the August peak hit. But the market this week roared up. Wednesday, you could see it just jump up, and the breadth of the market was almost 9-1. It's a positive thing. Everybody's participating in the rally. So, the downtrend is broken. That is the best thing about it. And it's an overall encompassing rally instead of the top 7 stocks that we see. So, good time to be in the market. It bodes well for a Santa Claus rally and a much higher level. I don't know if we'll get high as we got as August, but it's good. NVDA up 10 days in a row, and then it went down a day, and then it went up. And it's, if you look at the chart, it was at 500 almost in August, and then guess what? It got down to 400, and now it's up 20% in a few weeks. 20% in a few weeks. There's not a little stock of like 10 million. It's almost $1 trillion stock, and it's up 20%. Well, the news is good. They're going to make better, faster chips, and everybody is hoping the meeting with China will allow us to have some chips sent over there, and that are AI. I always look at it. You can't stop this technology. You can give them chips that are a year old. That's fine. But the new chips will be faster, better. But essentially, AI is just a matter of putting it all together and making the chips work and having the software to make it work. And the basis 2 years under 5 again. That's good because as lower interest rates, people like. We're all hoping that higher for longer means no more rate cuts, and no more raises. Just let it sit for a while, let it digest. Don't get everybody's hope for a rate cut right away, and the market will do good. And of course, we don't want a rate hike. Oil, boy, $70. There's a lot of talk it's going to go down below it. Remember, we're $95 in September. Now we're down to $76. I mean, people are having a heart attack over this. Energy stocks, we're at the lows. But we're going to stay our 2 energy stocks because we're, representing the S&P 500. And I know it's painful, but it's also a good time to buy some if you want to get into it because we know once the Chinese start to get their economy on track, someday they'll get out there and move it. And then natural gas still above 3, still going down. This is the time when it goes up because it's winter, and we'll see how much use is going to be. And then gold's just knocking at 2,000 again. You just can't get over there. Copper, if you look at it, indicates to me always how good our economy is going for manufacturing. And the copper prices are pretty low for the years. I mean, it's been $4 copper forever, and got up there a little higher and lower, but now we're down at 374, and that's a pretty low number. And our averages get, NASDAQ below 30% now. It's 34.5. Russell finally positive, finally. The S&P, which we benchmark, we're beating it at 17%. We're probably, almost, 30%. We're not as high as the NASDAQ because we're balanced out, but the top 5 NASDAQ stocks, we have them, and we had them before the year started. Again, we are not going to get those same 5 do the same performance. There's no recency bias. It's going to be a different set of stocks. Hopefully we'll be there. Inflation, great numbers. This jumped the market up a lot. 3.2 year to year. I mean, you look at this number, that's a perfect number. We can all live with 3% inflation. A lot of people want it down to 2. I know I keep on hearing about 2, but 3 is not so bad. 2.8 is not so bad. The core, 4%. So a lot of good numbers in it. It indicates that it might be good, but again, this number jumped up. We didn't expect it to get up a little higher, and now it's, a good number. I just mentioned Procter & Gamble because, they seem to be taking share when you listen to the calls. Been a flat stock, just like any one of the consumer retailers and consumer staples and all that is, it's an interesting thing. This is an area where, you're not going to be buying at the low, but you're not going to be paying awful high prices either. So, this is a stock been kind of trading sideways. It's off the bottom of earlier in February, but I think as you add up and you strengthen your S&P portfolio across all the 11 sectors, this is a good one to think about. And then Home Depot, we had it a while. They beat by 6 cents. That sounds great, but revenues fell. We're all watching for Walmart. If you're a retailer and revenues fall, that's not the ones we want. We want to get the ones that are growing. And and Home Depot comes up with, well, people are worried about the rates and the loans, the belt tightening, they're putting off the projects, and that's true. But that's why we don't want to have that stock. And I wouldn't be surprised if it eventually comes back up a little higher, but could also get back down in March, go back to the lows. Microsoft, Sam Altman out at OPENAI. What a shock on Friday afternoon. The board said he was not entirely candid about issues they were asking him about, and that's a surprise. I always think some of these boards don't do anything. This is a board that is not even a public company, and they kick out the face of OpenAI AI. Now, he'll get somewhere. He's a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire, with the work that he's done on it. But Microsoft, a little bit negative on it, but they own 20% of it, and you know what? It's still going on. It's still a good product. You just got to change it. I know, people don't realize that, a guy like Sam Altman's not there programming it anymore. He's not doing the hard. He's doing the management. He's the face of it. It's the other people that you have to retain, and hopefully he retains them. OpenAI. I saw the lady that's running it. I just hope it does good. It's a company. I pay the monthly fee. I use it all the time. And is it right? No. Sometimes you can get so frustrating when you give it a set of data to look at, and you want to look at 6 of the data, and you want to analyze, compare. You can't sometimes get it to do what you want, and you end up doing it yourself. But it's still better than what we had. Applied Materials, Department of Justice said they're going to look at it, and look at this thing. This thing dropped like, oh my God, they were convicted. And all your computer semi machines that are sold, Applied Materials is going to make a chunk of them. They're out there. I always look at it because I've had Applied Materials back in the early days, like in the 1999. I remember buying it. It goes from 80 to 120 in like 3 months and stuff, and I sold it. But it's a stock that's just kind of has its niche, and it doesn't really want to get out of its niche, and therefore probably not going to own it because it's a semiconductor. It'll go with the cycles. As the cycle goes down, AMAT will go down. As the cycle goes up, AMAT goes up. So I just watched it because I thought, wow, most of these DOJ probes don't do that much. They can come up with recommendations. You're not going to sell AI chips to China type of thing, and that becomes policy. But I don't see much on this one. You sold one machine to China, and people got excited. Target, look at this downtrend. Holy smokes, it's like a ski slope. Shrinkage is up higher than it was last year. That means people are stealing stuff more. I live in a town that doesn't have this stuff. I mean, it has probably some theft, but the town prosecutes stuff. In other areas like Cook County, where they're not even going to prosecute theft over $750, that gives everybody license to go steal, a grocery carton. You don't even get charged. It's like crazy. So it beat, but it missed on revenues, and revenues fell. Again, another retailer, revenues fell. So all eyes are going to be on Walmart. Did Walmart revenues increase, or are they going to fall also? And then, with the President Xi coming over here this week and doing a lot of PR, and all the tech people meeting with him, and industry, financial people meeting with him, I always look at China's in trouble. China's unemployment for the under 20, they stopped reporting it because it was over 20%. Investment in China is a record low. People are not putting money. They don't trust it anymore. They don't want to have to cough up their trade secrets to be in China for the revenue. Everybody's starting to look at India as a market, same size, or, they're both over $1 billion. So China has a lot of issues here, and, I thought the meeting was pretty good. I thought it was positive, and, You know, I mean, the U.S. has to have some fair play in China. You can't be at all, you know, everything you got to do this, you know, out there. But we bought it. I mean, and of course, you know, we bought it right around here, and then it jumped up, and now it's back down. But you know, uh, we just looked at a ETF, and there's, you know, is there the best ETF? Well, I don't know. I think once China, you know, you have a chance to buy this at a fairly low amount. You know, here's our floor, and we're a little bit below the floor, and we were able to buy below it. The trend is down, but I don't think it's going to go that much more. You know, it could. I mean, you don't know. Um, there's always uncertainty. You know, always transition. But I think you know, it's a good area to be in finally, and it's low and lot more upside than downside. And then of course we bought the ETF. Just some numbers. If you just take a look at 2023 versus 2022, you know, of course, energy's just taking that beating this time, but that's okay. We'll get with it. We look for a good Christmas rally. I mean, you know, I don't think S&P will get up to 4,800, but I think it's going to be positive. We look, if we're at 17%, I could see ending the year at 20%. I also could see the year ending at 15%, but it will not be 5%. We're not going to lose everything. So those that hung in, and when you watch the July come down, you're doing all right. And after that, I'll see you next week. It's Thanksgiving, and have a happy Thanksgiving.